what's up everyone, it's Emily and welcome back to my channel. Today's gonna be a little bit of a different video. I was inspired by Anya over at Well Traveled Books to make this video, and if you aren't already subbed to her, go ahead and do that now. I will link her channel down below. She made a video recently about why she's no longer going to be doing book hauls on her channel, and it kind of got me thinking about what people are buying and why they're buying it, and how creators have a huge influence on that over other people, and why maybe that conversation should be shifting. It's pretty obvious now that we are kind of in like a climate crisis. I mean, it was over 40 degrees here a couple weeks ago. We're about to go into another heat wave. And in this area in Europe, that's not really a common occurrence. And now it's happening multiple times in a year, and it's supposed to just kind of continue. It's not great, and obviously there are other things happening in the world as well, and it's just becoming clearer and clearer, like this is a very serious situation. I know we live in a capitalist society, and we kind of have to just sit with that. That is not the individual's fault. However, we as the consumers do have to be smart and have a say in how and what we're consuming and how often we are consuming it. And I do think that creators have a responsibility to be open about it, as well as we need the creators to help be a part of the solution to the problem. So I want to talk about consumption and overconsumption in books and, well, things in general. I just want to continue and start more of this conversation, and I hope that if anyone else has some thoughts on this, they can leave them down below and we can start a dialogue. And if anyone has suggestions about solving these problems and issues, I am always willing to listen and want to hear what everyone else has to say. So I'm just going to kind of open it up, talk about a few things, and then just let me know your thoughts down below. So I think this kind of started when Booktube became bigger and bigger. The thing with Booktube though is we have a couple of very, very large creators with a huge following, and then tons of medium and small sized creators. And so while we were reaching a large group of people, obviously, because a lot of these videos get millions and millions of views, it wasn't having the kind of impact that Booktok is having, because Booktok is seeing like billions of views. And the thing about TikTok, I think, is that anyone can go viral. If you make one good video, you go viral, millions of people will see your video, and you've just created an impact on all those people. Versus Booktube, I feel like it takes a bit more time to grow. I think the frequency in which you go viral is very different on Booktube than it is on Booktok, which is just random sometimes. And so I think Booktok is having a much larger impact. It started with Booktube, and I think now we've moved and merged over to Booktok, and that is kind of perpetuating this issue that was started and is now just getting exponentially worse. And that has to do with overconsumption with books. I have no issue with people buying books. If you love books and you want to have a library, that is great, and I love that for you. And I own tons of books, and I love all of them. Most of them are not with me because they're back in the States, but I do have a bookshelf here with all of the books that I own. And like, that is not to say that I'm not making this video to say that you shouldn't buy books anymore. That's not what I'm saying at all. I just want to make that clear. The issue is coming from where you see on Booktok a creator talk about a book, and then that influences a bunch of other people to buy that book, and then everyone is talking about this book, and now everyone is buying this book. So for an example, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover was published back in 2016, and in its first month sold 21,000 copies, and then kind of tapered off after that. And it was successful, but it wasn't, you know, a multi-award-winning bestseller for very long. I hadn't even heard of this book until recently with Booktok. And what happened is in November of 2020, this book kind of started taking off when Booktok started talking about it, and when it got a hold of Booktok, and people just started buying this book left and right, and now it has sold almost 500,000 copies since 2020. That is like exponential growth. The thing is, so many people now own this book that I have seen openly hate on it, right? It's like it wasn't a good book. And you know, we talk all the time about how books on Booktok are so overhyped and they're all not that great, but yet people are still buying them because they want to be relevant and they want to be a part of the conversation that's happening on Booktok. So what we're seeing is these people are going to Barnes & Noble and seeing the Booktok table and buying everything on that table because that's what people are talking about. That's what everyone is reading and they want to be relevant. It's kind of like clothing trends. Like everyone sees this one trend happening and then everyone needs to go buy that outfit or that item piece that everyone else has so that they can stay relevant. In 2 weeks, that's already out of fashion and now we have to buy the new thing. And that's just leading to more and more consumption versus finding a book that you do genuinely want to read and purchasing that book, consuming that media, and then doing with it what you will, whether it's giving it away, lending it out to friends, or keeping it on your shelf, or rereading it, or anything like that. The thing with books is if you're not someone who rereads a lot, that book is just gonna sit on your shelf, and that's totally fine, but if it doesn't have a use outside of it being read. So when you finished that book, and you want to read more, you have to buy another book. And so this kind of continues on and on and on and can lead to more consumption, obviously. And I think what's happening is with TikTok and Booktok and everything else is that this is just being heightened because of how many people are engaging with it, how many people want to be viral influencers, they want to talk about and be a part of this conversation. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to engage in the conversation that's being had about this media. The issue is that people aren't even thinking about things before they're purchasing them. And buying books to stay relevant isn't the right reason to buy a book, in my opinion. On top of that, people are hauling books from these trips on Booktube, on Booktok, and all of these things, and they're unloading, oh, look at these 20 books I bought from Barnes & Noble. Or, oh, Barnes & Noble had a buy one, get one half off sale, so of course I had to buy 50 books. And that's really great, and I'm really happy for the people who have the money to do that and to spend that money and engage in that, and that's great for them. However, that is then perpetuating more people to be like, oh, that should be me, and look at how many views that video has of them buying all these books. I should do that because then I will get a lot of views because book haul videos always do well, and now I can have that dopamine boost of buying all these books that everyone's talking about and everyone can tell me how great they are. It's kind of a never-ending thing. And that's the thing with books, right? Is that once you read them, they've served their purpose and now they go on the shelf and that's it. And so then what? Now, again, I'm not saying people should stop buying books. Obviously, I love books. I love buying books. I just think we should really begin to think more about what we're buying, how much we're buying, and why we're buying it. Are you buying this book because everyone's talking about it and you want to be relevant? And if that's the case, why? Is it for your own self-enjoyment? Is it something that genuinely sounds interesting to you? Or is it something that you think will get you more views on TikTok? And once again, people say all the time how overhyped all of the TikTok books are. And, to be fair, like the Booktok books that I have read, only like 4 of them have been good. That's not just a me thing. Like I've heard lots of people say that. So then it's the question of who are these books really for? And are we all engaging in them for the right reasons? Because so many people are like meh about them. And there are tons of people who love Colleen Hoover's books or Sarah J. Maas's books and everything. And that's all fine. Now all of these people are reading them and hating them, but they're still buying them. Which leads me to my next kind of little section here is what can we do? So we're talking about overconsumption and buying all these books, and first of all, just the amount of money people are spending on books, which is great because I want the book industry to thrive. There's a lot of nuances here, and there's a lot of things going into this that I probably can't all touch on, but what do we do? What do we do? So the first thing I want to suggest is if you're someone like me who just wants to collect books and have them on your shelf in your room, is thrift books. Thriftbooks.com is secondhand books that people sell, and honestly, I've used this site so much. Hashtag not sponsored, I promise. But I have used thrift books for years, and in the States, if you buy over $10 worth of books, you get free shipping. Every book I've bought from there has been in good condition, but it tells you when you buy it, like what condition it's in, and most of the books are under $5, or at least they were when I was consistently buying from it. So you can buy 2 books and get free shipping. Done. They do also have new best-selling books on their site that you can just get for less than what you would pay at Barnes & Noble or some other big company store. And on top of that, Thrift Books also donates to lots of charities and organizations, including literacy programs. So they're just a great company to support if you're looking to have books on your shelf. If you are not looking to have books on your shelf, the number one best thing I can suggest is just going to your local library. And if they don't have the book in that library at that time, you can normally request it from a different library and have it there in a couple of days. And you normally get it for a couple of weeks, you read the book, and then you bring it back. And most of the time, a library subscription is free. Also, I find that when I get books from the library, I don't feel bad about DNFing because I didn't pay for it. So I don't lose money by not finishing this book in a way, right? I can just bring it back to the library and never have to think about it again. And I also feel like I'm more willing to try different books that maybe I wouldn't have tried to begin with because, again, I didn't spend any money to get it. I'm reading it, and if I don't like it, I can just bring it back. On that same note, if you have friends who read similar books as you could just borrow books to each other. You know, don't buy the same books as all your friends. Have your friends read the book, and then you read the book, and just switch back and forth. And you're spending half the money, and you're both enjoying the books, and then you can talk about them. I know for me, I have like 10 books on my shelf right now that I'm borrowing from my friend because we have the exact same reading taste. And so she's been lending me a bunch of her books, and then when I'm finished with them, I will give them back to her because she's cool with me just borrowing them for as long as I need to and then bringing them back. Another thing you could do if you have the money to invest in something like this is an ebook, because the carbon footprint of an ebook is much, much less than buying paperbacks. And I know that when you buy ebooks, the author usually gets a much higher royalty and they're less expensive. Because I would say most paperbacks are somewhere within the $11 to like $21 range, and most ebooks I've seen have been between $2 and $8. So something to think about if that's something that you're interested in. And I know that if you do go with Amazon, which I know it's Amazon, but if you do get like Kindle Unlimited or whatever, you just pay a certain amount every month and then you get unlimited access to their KU library, which that's so many books. And you don't even have to pay for them individually. You could also do Scribd, which is kind of similar. It's a $10 a month account. I used to have one actually for sheet music when I was in theater school, which is so funny. I didn't know that they did this until recently, but they call it the Netflix of ebooks because you pay $10 a month and then you have unlimited access to their library of ebooks and audiobooks. So you can just listen and read any of the books on their site, and their authors get a royalty per read. And those are just the things that I thought of like within 10 minutes of trying to solve this problem. I know that there's like little free libraries in the States that you can go to and check out, and people have been utilizing those more and more. You can also unhaul books there instead of, throwing them away or letting them deteriorate on your shelf. If you're someone who just has books that you don't know what to do with, you can also buy local, but buy fewer. If I'm paying for a book that's a bit more expensive, I'm really gonna think about if I want this book and if I'm willing to pay, the $25 for it and then also support a local store. To me, that's really important. And if I'm gonna do that, I want it to be a book that I genuinely want to read. So those were just a few suggestions I had to kind of help with this consumption issue that we're seeing with Booktok and Booktube. And if you have any other suggestions, please let me know down below. Again, I just wanted to kind of start this conversation and continue what Anya was kind of talking about. I think that it's just the responsible thing to do right now. Obviously, there are points on this that I didn't touch, and if you love buying books and everything, this is not to say that you shouldn't buy books. I just want everyone to think about how much they're buying and why they're buying. Just with everything going on in the world, I just wanted to take a step back, and obviously I have changes that I need to make about my own habits, how I'm reading and consuming literature, and I just wanted to open that conversation up and continue what Anya started and hear what everyone else had to say about it. If you watched this far into the video, thank you so much. It really means a lot to me that you would kind of listen to what I had to say and hear me out on this, and I really look forward to reading everyone's comments about their thoughts on everything. If you would like to subscribe to my channel or like my video, that would help me out a lot. Thank you, Anya, for making your video and inspiring me to continue this conversation. I hope that we can all kind of grow and learn and talk about this more and more together as we navigate this climate crisis that we're all in. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.